Hello, everybody. I am Goldilocks, and we are back a little earlier than we thought we might be able to. The right can't keep us down. I don't know what to say, except I'm back. And look, if you don't like that, that's on you, okay? We're here, and we're going to stay. The right tried to report bomb me for something that I clearly didn't do, and it worked. They got me live banned for a week, so we are back on a backup account. TikTok approved my application without any trouble at all because they like me, and they want to see more of me. And so we're back. We're back talking about Trump and why you support him, even though he's a racist, a grapist, a misogynist. He's removing women's rights actively. He's promoting using military force against political dissidents. Real fascist stuff, man. He advocates for firing all left-wing military members. Crazy. We have never had anybody in the history of this nation saying some of the things that this man is, and they are just downright dangerous, okay? We're not kidding when we say that. We're not exaggerating. His policies are dangerous. Not to mention his fiscal policies, which will take money out of the hands of middle and lower class Americans. The tariffs, 10 to 20% universal tariffs on foreign goods, we pay those. U.S. importers pay those tariffs, right? That money comes from the U.S. China doesn't pay those tariffs, baby. We do. That cost comes right to us. A lot of people are misinformed about how tariffs work, okay? Kamala, on the other hand, is going to give tax cuts to everybody who makes less than $400,000 a year, and she's going to pay for it all, including $25,000 tax credits to first-time homebuyers, $50,000 tax credits to business startups, and child tax credits of $6,000 when they're born, all the way down to $3,000 by the time they're 18. So just year over year tax credits. She's going to pay for all of this by raising the corporate tax rate to 28%. But what about small businesses, you might ask? What about them? This is the corporate tax rate, as in corporations. I had somebody the other day ask me, are S-corps included in that? No, S-corps are not even subject to corporate income tax. So no, they're not. That's not how this works. That's not how any of it works. While you're in here, please tap the screen. We are trying to get back up to where we were. I want to get pushed out to more people so that we can get some actual Trumpers in here. I am very used to doing this. This is my backup account. Let's get some people who support Trump up here so we can talk to him about it. We have very little time before the election, and the right thought they had kicked me out until Election Day. But that's not how this works, baby. I'm back. Gotta go on a backup account, but I am back. We are here for the long haul. We will be here until the election, and I will be talking to you about why supporting Trump is a bad move, no matter which way you look at it. Even border security, bad move. That's all he's running on. That's his one answer to every single goddamn question. And you know what he did? He blocked the bill that would have gone towards solving that problem. The only bill we could have possibly gotten passed, because it was a bipartisan bill. James Langford had worked with two Democrats across the aisle to forge a bill that was actually passable, right? And Trump called for it to be torpedoed, and it was. Republicans refused to vote on it because of what Trump said. It's a bad bill. I would rather have no bill than a bad bill. But it's not a bad bill. It's a good bill written by one of our staunchest Republicans, right? One of the biggest border security guys we have in the Senate. He's the man for this, okay? He is the guy that would know how to crack down on this, and he does, and he did. And he wrote the bill, and it got squashed by Trump, right? Why would he do that? Why would he do that if he wants to increase border security and solve the problem? Because it's his only problem. If he can't run on that, he has nothing, okay? So if they would have passed this bill, crack down on immigration, Trump would have been screwed. He would have been screwed out of the election, for sure, 100%. That would have been a huge W for Biden, and he would have been done. He would have been done. He wouldn't have anything to run on anymore. If you think I'm wrong about any of this, please request up to talk about Trump. Or just say MAGA in the chat. Say MAGA in the chat, and I'll invite you up. While you're in here, again, please tap the screen. Just we want to get this shown to more people, so just tap right here on my face. We are talking about why Trump is a bad move. What else? He was held civilly liable for rape to the tune of $80 million, give or take a few million for defamation. But isn't that enough? He tried to overturn the legitimate election results by having Mike Pence certify false slates of electors for 7 swing states. Mike Pence refused to do so because it's unconstitutional, so he instead just did his actual job, as one would expect him to do, right? Thank God for that. Otherwise, we would have had 4 more years of Trump, and who knows how many more years of Trump, because we wouldn't have had another vote. If Trump would have had his way and had the election results overturned, we wouldn't be voting this time. We wouldn't. He would have fired the left-wing military members already and crafted a military that wouldn't even be willing to disagree with him, so that he could undo all of our democratic processes and get rid of the Constitution that we have, that we hold dear. The only thing that keeps us, that ensures that we as citizens of the United States have rights. He's advocating for getting rid of the Constitution of the U.S. If you support this man at this point, like, 1, I think you're absolutely insane. But 2, you're dangerous. Like, you are dangerous because he is dangerous. He is advocating for stripping rights and already has stripped some rights. He has stripped the rights of women to decide what to do with their own bodies, right? There was only one federal protection for AB, and it's gone now because of him. People say, oh, it was the Supreme Court. Yeah, it was the Supreme Court in a decision that was 5-4, and he had personally appointed 3 justices that voted for it after vowing to uphold precedent on the matter. Amazing. Like, downright scummy move, right? Crazy. If you're MAGA, just say something in the chat. I will gladly invite you up. We are getting started on a new backup account here. We are starting fresh. Please tap the screen while you're in here. I have a few more viewers at this point. Just get to tapping. We want this to go out to more people so we can get some actual Trumpers in here. Randy Davis, welcome. Birdie, Master Plaster, hell yeah. Unk Mike, MJ, and America, welcome. Thank you for watching. We are talking about how Trump is the wrong choice for America. Master Plaster, are you ready for the draft, princess? What does that even mean, bud? I mean, I'm in selective services, as every U.S. citizen is at this point. So, do you want to talk about it? I just invited you, Master Plaster. You want to talk? You can just accept the invite, and you can come up and talk, bud. Already invited you. No? You're scared? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to come up and talk about it. I would prefer you did. That's kind of the point of this. So, Trump is also mentioned over 300 times in Project 2025, right? Which wants to defund the Department of Education. Actually, outright get rid of the Department of Education, because uneducated masses are easier to control, right? That's it. Uneducated masses are easier to control. And who's the party of control? Who's the party of control, chat? Is it the one burning books, you think? The one committing book burnings? Removing books from school libraries? Yeah, it's probably the ones removing the knowledge, right? Probably. It's more of a trick question than anything, because it's obvious. Was BlackRock the answer to who's the party of control? That's a wild take. All right, sure. Yeah, no, they just want money. BlackRock doesn't really care about control as long as they're getting money, right? They don't need you to be controlled by them as long as you're giving them your money, and you really have no options at this point. It's BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street. Mike, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. How old are you?
I'm 54 years old.
And what are your pronouns?
Dude, I'm a dude. Okay, what do you mean? What are my pronouns?
So he, him, I
Okay,
guess.
I don't live in fantasy world. I don't live in fantasy world. I'm a man.
So I guess he, him. Who are you voting for?
Trump, the only logical choice.
Well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that?
It makes total sense, dude. Because this administration
absolutely not.
It makes total sense, dude.
How?
Unless you're not thinking critical.
Mike, you gonna make a case, or are you just gonna say it makes sense?
It's not like you listen to my case, anyways.
That is literally why I'm here inviting people up.
You deny truth. Well, oh boy, just answered your question. That BlackRock was in control. So is Vanguard, and so is State Street or
whatever. Do you think Trump won't help them?
I know he won't. He wants to get us out of it. What do you mean? He tried to get us out of the WHO, out of the WEF. Okay,
but Trump gives tax cuts to corporations.
Yeah, to keep jobs in the United States. He's trying to keep jobs.
So how does that not help major corporations?
Okay, well, because we keep jobs in the United States, we're not going global.
Chat, do you hear how asinine this take is? Like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Realistically,
so that's all you could do is call people names. I have not called you names at all.
I didn't call you a name.
The way that you think a whack job and that you're senseless just by the way that you just
Mike,
how do you identify?
Mike, I didn't call you a name.
How do we identify? If you die, if you unalived, okay, and they found your bones 10 years later and they do a DNA lookup on you, they're going to identify you as what you were born as.
Mike, I didn't call you a name. Mike, shut up. I didn't call you a name.
Don't tell me to shut up. Go
shut up, Mike.
Yourself,
I didn't call you a name.
Goldilocks, man, you would never talk to nobody the way you talk to people
I would.
online.
I would definitely talk to you this way on the street.
Down like a little bitch that you
are.
No,
you wouldn't. Like you ain't got shit, dude. You ain't got shit, dude.
Okay, well, are you close to Chicago? Are you close to Chicago, you little
need to laugh.
Huh?
We all need to laugh.
That's what Trump thinks about this.
Yeah, Trump thinks that you guys are all idiots, dude, and I think you're an idiot too, dude. How about that?
We all need to laugh at Mike. We all need to laugh at Mike, chat.
You guys call the Republicans a cult, but yet you guys are worshiping all the cult things.
Like what?
Like transgenderism, like killing babies. You're so worried about women. Dude,
again, you fixed yourself last time. Mike, shut the fuck up. You fixed yourself last time. Say unalive. Say unalive.
I'll say whatever I want.
Okay, then you'll get kicked. We have another guest. We had another guest in the box. All right, if you're MAGA, come on up. We want to talk to you. Mark, what is name calling? When Trump calls people names, but that's okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's fine when he does it. Haha, he went off the rails, but still. Kamala is a puppet to the FDA, CDC, and Vanguard. I really want you to explain how she's a puppet to the major corporations. She's raising the corporate tax rate. That doesn't make too much sense, buds. It just doesn't. Hold on, I'm having some headset problems. Let me make sure it's plugged in. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. No, she's raising the corporate tax rate. Palestine will be free. She's raising the corporate tax rate. Corporations. That is the plan. To 28%. I can talk to you about it if you want, because you're not very educated, apparently. Mike, again, I was trying to tell you this, but I did not call you a name. I did not. I said your take was asinine. I didn't call you a name. You heard me wrong. Or you don't know what the word means, which I would not put past you with that kind of a performance. I wouldn't put it past you, bud. Mark, yeah. Fair. We got to get a few more Trump supporters up here before we get some friendlies. It really helps with the views. Low IQs use name calling. That's fair, I guess. I mean, anybody can really do that, but I don't like neither. But Kamala licks the boots of Israel more than I've seen in years. You think Kamala would be worse for Palestine than Trump? Basically GTFO if you think that, because that's laughably wrong. Laughably wrong. Bud, Trump said he wants Israel to end the war. What do you think that means? What do you think that means? Right? Same thing as he said for Russia. These other countries will not respect her. Yeah, they will. They don't respect Trump. Trump was literally laughed off stage at the G20 summit. Like, laughed off stage. That's never happened to a former president before. That's never happened to a president or former president before, Randy. Nobody respects Trump except brainwashed Trumpers. And it's amazing that you guys do, to be honest. Outlandishly hilarious. Outlandishly hilarious.
We all need to laugh. We all need to laugh.
All right, if you're MAGA, just request up, right? Or say something. I will invite you. I'm inviting a bunch of people. There you go. Rebel, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. How old are you?
So I'm 54.
And pronouns?
I'm a lady. I'm a girl.
Okay, so she, her. Who are you voting for?
I've already voted. I voted for Trump.
Okay, how could you bring yourself to do that when he tried to undermine the legitimate election results and undermine the voice of every single American that voted?
Because there's a lot of information out there that got debunked, got suppressed.
Like what?
And that a lot of people didn't get to see because the media is owned by the Democrat Party.
Like what? Yeah, I'm sure Fox is owned by the Democrats.
Like, for instance, we had like people that overseas in Italy, they found certain people that had interfered in our election. And all,
like how?
A massive amount of absentee ballots and all that was coming in, and all, they were able to change the votes on the machines and stuff.
Okay,
do you
know what Trump did? Do you know what Trump did to try to? Hold on. Do you know what Trump did?
Other than filing lawsuits and challenging the results. Just like I live in Georgia.
So you don't know what Trump did.
Georgia. They found 300. So they filed. There's 364,000 illegal votes that was cast here.
When I ask you, you just need to say no. Do you know what Trump did? No, right? Because you don't, obviously. So admit that you don't know. You unmute yourself. So when I ask you a question, you have to answer me truthfully, right? So if I ask you, do you know what Trump did in relation to undermining the election? Just say no if you don't know, okay?
I mean, I don't know that he done anything to undermine the election.
Okay, he did. I'm going to tell you. So what led up to January 6th is the false elector scheme, right? So the entire reason for him even being there with a whole ragtag group of brainwashed Trump supporters was that he was trying to get Mike Pence to certify false slates of electoral votes for 7 different swing states that he drafted. Oh, well, you have a flag for civic and election integrity, so I got to remove you. Sorry, TikTok. Yeah, so don't spread false information, because then you'll get a flag and I'll have to remove you. Okay? There you go. So, anybody else want to come up and talk about Trump? Because it's impossible to support Trump at this point, and we're going to prove it. While you're in here, definitely like the live. Just tap the screen. It helps. It's good for you whether you're for or against me. If you're against me, we can talk about it. If you're with me, you can watch, right? Palestine, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, bud? How you doing? I'm good.
Pretty good. How old are you?
I am 30 years old.
And pronouns?
I'm a man.
So he, him. Who are you voting for?
I'm not too sure on how it works, but I guess so.
Yeah, if you would, it's basically would you prefer to be referred to as he or she?
I'm a he.
Okay, he, him. Who are you voting for?
It might be neither. I'm not fully sure yet, but I just wanted to ask your take because you seem like you're full on honest. You don't seem like you don't seem like you're just here to hate Trump. You seem like you are just looking at the facts and looking at what's right and wrong for both sides. Yeah. So we could pull out a lot of things that are wrong about Trump, and we could pull out a lot of things that are right about Trump. Would you be willing to do the same with Kamala?
Kamala. And
Kamala,
I would be willing to engage in talking about what she's done wrong in the past.
So not necessarily only the past, but like the present too, today.
Like what?
That's a question I want to ask you. Do you think she's doing anything wrong today? With the term, with what she has,
generally, I like for the guest to bring up a topic to speak about because I'm not just going to bring
anything.
Stuff up.
I don't want to assume that you think she's just the perfect candidate or, she's done no wrong. I could see that that's the case with anything related to Trump. If anyone's voting.
I don't think that of anyone. I don't think that of literally anybody that could possibly be running ever.
I hear you. So. With Kamala, do you as far as foreign affairs, as far as supporting the American people, where do you see her doing good? And I know this is your panel. I don't want to switch the flip the script and ask you questions because I think they're both horrible.
Yeah, I need to ask after that. What do you mean? She can't do much as vice president.
Well, for example, she's in control of the borders.
No, she's not.
Then who is? I might be ignorant, and I would.
The Department of Homeland Security ultimately controls border security.
But does she have any say in any of it?
No, not really. She can't even actually draft legislation. So what say would she have?
So what say has she had in the past 4 years then? Or when Biden...
Yeah, none. That's my point.
I don't know how it works, but with Biden being barely able to walk, I feel like they'd give her some, not authority, but...
No. So
let's say Biden goes brain dead, but we don't officially, take him... I don't know the right words.
We would remove him from office if he went brain dead. Then she would
pretty much halfway
hold
on.
Yes, I'll tell you how this works. Then she would take over, right? If Biden is unable to fulfill certain duties, that's what he has a cabinet for, right? So each cabinet member has specific duties. The vice president is a cabinet member, but she also has to preside over the Senate hearings, right? Just in case there's a tie-breaking vote. So she doesn't really have time for much else.
I feel like just Trump is, I feel like all presidential candidates are horrible in a way. I just feel like Trump is the lesser of the two bads that we have.
That's amazing. That's an amazing take. I don't understand how anybody can possibly think that. That's why I'm up here.
I'm Palestinian American, so a lot of course, the past 15 years I've been living in the States. I will say with Trump, our businesses were better. That's speaking out of my experience.
Yeah. What did Trump do to help businesses succeed?
I can't tell you specifics on what he did, but business in general was good. I know we went through COVID. I know we're going through wars.
Yeah. So Trump didn't really do anything to help businesses. He was handed an economy that was already on the correct trajectory. Like the TCJA, you could argue was a decent tax plan, but it's also scummy because at the end of this year, the tax cuts for middle and lower class Americans are ended, right? But the tax cuts for the rich and corporations continue on. So all in all, by the end of the TCJA's term, corporations and the rich will have received, basically the top 1% will have received 83% of the tax benefits.
This is going to be a very, very ignorant question. Yeah, you're going to probably hate me for this, and so is everyone in the comments. Because I searched, and not that it didn't make sense, I just need a dumbed down version of it. So, like, I don't care for Democratic or Republican or any of that. I just know that there's certain decisions are made, and some you abide by, some you don't. What would you say is the main difference between Republican and Democratic? Because I could be one or the other, but based on what this presidential candidate says, I might switch. But like, that's why it's in a way irrelevant to me, I guess.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference?
Yeah, historically there hasn't been like an insane amount of difference between the two parties. Like realistically, not a ton of difference. So Democrats want more scope of government, a larger government funding. Basically, they want to gain more funding for the government so that they can instate more social programs.
Is that that's a good
do
thing?
More things. I generally think that's a good thing. I think that
and you said
people
that's
in some
Democrat.
sense need help from the government in some cases. So we need some things happening for sure. Whereas historically,
don't abide that?
What was that?
You're saying Republicans are... That was the Democrats. So as far as Republicans...
Yeah, historically,
they
generally,
not believe in that pretty
Republicans...
much in helping the people?
Generally, historically, Republicans want to limit revenue intake for the government. They want to limit the scope of government, right?
And
so
where would that money go towards then?
Yeah, so generally they were the party of tax cuts, right? They were the party of tax cuts. So they need to bring in less revenue because they're going to cut regulations, they're going to cut social programs, so they don't have to spend as much money. Theoretically, that's how fiscal conservatism works. Anyway, recently we have this trend of social conservatism that is a little more dangerous, where Republicans are trying to instate laws that do things like ban same-sex marriage after it's already been instated as an actual right. Ban AB, abortion, when it's already been roundly accepted as a personal right. Removing Roe v. Wade, the only federal protection for that.
So now this might be a far-fetched question. So like I'm a man of God. So in reference to like, look, I believe that if you want to be this or that, then so be it. You know, like whether it's, I don't want to ruin your panel and say the wrong things, but like as far as like gays and whatnot, you know, if you want to be whatever, go ahead and be whatever. But in reference to, is there a certain party pushing towards not exposing that idea to children? Because I feel like in the past 4 years, it's been pushed very hard onto, like, or is that just like separate?
So you can't
separate from
really
all politics, pretty much.
Yeah. So Republicans definitely advocate more for not showing that to children, but also that means stifling people's right to literally just be who they actually are, right? So they're
so it's like hand in hand, like okay, we won't show it to the kids, but we're also going to push to not even allow same-sex marriages.
Well, yeah, like how else do you not show it to the kids?
Well, no, man, you see, and you see it online. I have a cousin that dealt with that at a certain school too, like LGBT. They went and did like a drag queen show at a first grade class. You know, whether you're for it or not for it, or whether you're a man of God or not a man of God, you know, there's people have certain standards, you could say, or, you know, I don't want to be rude and say standard, but like, you know, some people just don't abide by that. So like, do you see that as a problem? Do you see that?
Yeah, I see stifling artistic representation and personal identification and representation as a problem. Those two things should not be stifled.
But at such a young age?
Especially not by legislation is what we're talking about here. Right? So the school can decide what's right for it. The school can decide what events it will allow to put on. The government shouldn't decide what events they can or can't put on that are extracurricular. The government should stay the hell out of that, especially if it's in relation to enacting their God's will, because we don't do that in the U.S. or we shouldn't.
And I'm not saying I respect it, but like I understand it. Some people don't go off of like God's will. Some people do. So like that's why I'm saying, do you think it's important to not put that in children's faces at such a young age?
I think it's
if they're 17,
hold on.
16 years old, it's a big difference.
Hold on. I think it's important. One sec. I think it's important to not bring your God into our legislation, because we have the right to religious freedom, expressly mentioned in the First Amendment of the Constitution.
100%. But there's also there's people that don't abide by that. So like I'm not saying don't throw a dress. See, you get what I'm saying? Like I guess I'm in the middle. Like me, if you ask me personally as a man of God, I don't believe that men should dress as women. But that's me personally. So I choose not.
Jesus wore what you would today call a dress.
We call it a thobe back where in the country that I'm from.
Yeah, but is that not a dress?
I get what you're saying, but you know deep down in your heart it is very different.
No, I don't. I actually don't.
So there's a difference between a white, like in a way, all white or any color. I have a black one for myself when I pray. It's like we call it a thobe. I don't know what we call it in English. But it's different from wearing a dress with high heels and makeup on. And
no, it isn't. And I'll tell you why. It's literally just clothes. It doesn't matter. There is no such thing as female clothes and male clothes. It's all just clothes.
I hear you.
Some people look at that as a radical idea, but like
I didn't. Yeah, and some people do radicalize that. That's why I'm not trying to get too deep into it. I just people believe in this and people believe in that. I just think the children should stay out of that loop until like their brain's more developed, instead of pushing any narrative. Because like it's not like you see people that believe in and you know what, there probably is, but like people that don't believe in drag queens and stuff, you don't see them pushing that narrative in schools.
Well, you can't really not believe in drag queens, right?
No, you know what I mean. Like, don't abide by it, I guess. I know I don't have the wording
think
right.
It shouldn't be allowed to be a thing?
In a way, yes. Like that. Then again, I did, if you want to cut back to my statements on I don't care what people do.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like me, I know that I can't, for example, like my belief says a man should be with a woman. Now, I don't care if the next guy is not with a woman, with a man. I just know me and myself, I don't do that. The next person could do as they please. You know, each man for himself, each woman for themselves. Whatever they choose to do, they do it. But I feel like children, whether it's religion, whether it's, because we're all diverse. Some boys want to be in dresses, some girls want to be in whatever. You know what I'm saying? Some people just want to wear clothes, like you said. Mm-hmm. I just feel like the children should be protected on any ideas.
Let me ask you this.
Let
me ask you this, because I think this is really an interesting point to hit on, right? I would challenge you to say that you do care about this, but literally nobody I know of cares if a girl dresses like a boy. Right? You see where I'm going with this already?
Yeah. No, that's why even in my own statement, I said a boy dressing like a girl, or a girl dressing in just clothes. I caught that myself.
Yeah. It's weird, right? That's definitely a double standard, because if you think dresses equals girls, then girls should always wear dresses, right? By the same logic.
I hear you. I just, I'm old school. I grew up in a time, and back home where I'm from, it's You know, men have the masculinity to them, and women have the, you know, feminist trait to them. And it doesn't mean that they have to wear this or wear that, but it goes hand in hand with how, like, these narratives are pushed in the States, where you see, like, men in dresses aren't as masculine. And I get it, they don't have to be. You know, that doesn't mean that they're not a boy if they're softer boys and whatnot. It's just, you know, it's a way of life that we believe in life and procreation. And I don't want to get into religion. Like I said, I don't want to get too off track with what I'm speaking on. I was just looking at protecting children's.
I feel that. I don't. I honestly
pushing them towards this or that. What I'm saying isn't saying, hey, make sure they're all straight. Like I said, my religion believes that they should be, in a way, but that's not something that I'm pushing. I'm just saying, if there's going to be any other ideas, we shouldn't push them onto children at such a younger age. And I didn't know if there's a political party that's for that or against that, or neutral. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I don't. To be honest, I think Republicans are for limitation of rights of expression, and they'll say it's for that purpose, but I don't know that that's their only purpose for it. But I don't think Democrats are, you know, for influencing children in any kind of way. To be honest,
I hear you. It's more of a separate thing with the school and whatnot. Yeah. My last question is, this is the most important. So I am American, but I'm also Palestinian. And as the whole world knows, we see what's going on over there. Mm-hmm. So in reference to, see, now this, I feel like doesn't matter with what political party you stand with. I feel like as an American, you know, forget any party, as an American, we're sending so much money. There's a couple points on it. So we're sending so much money to Israel, and it's mainly in defense to, for example, for Israel allegedly defending themselves.
No, okay, yeah, I don't think, on a personal level, I don't think we should be sending any money to Israel.
100%. But with that being said, now this doesn't matter what party you stand with. How do we let so many of our congressmen have dual citizenship, and why is it not questioned why they have dual citizenship and where their allegiance actually stands?
It is being questioned.
There used to be a law. I think there used to be a law. I'm not too sure. In the 80s, it was abolished, but there's a law in the 80s where you can't be a part of Congress and have dual citizenship. I feel like that's very important. Whether anyone wants to sit down in the corner and bicker if they're Democrat or Republican, I feel like that is a bigger issue at hand for the American people.
And at this point, it is like people are starting to question that for sure. That is something that is actually actively rising into the gaze of American citizens. It's not something that we're talking about so much right at the moment, but I'm sure that that specific conversation will pick back up heavy right after the election is finished. But also,
like 100%,
I completely agree with you. Dual citizenship is kind of by its nature, it creates a conflict of interest for a senator, for sure. Like you have to have two nations in mind when you're making decisions.
So do you think instead of you think there will ever be a time where, like, you know, America, it's really like a drama show. So, like, if you support this candidate or that candidate, like, it's usually like very cutthroat. Like, okay, you voted for Trump or you voted for Kamala, I can't stand with you. That's it. Do you think it's at a point where it's so, like, this way or that way?
Yeah.
Where the people won't connect and realize that our government's been infiltrated?
I think
that's like, you know.
Yeah, I think
how bad
it is.
Does it have to get? Because we're at a time of war right now, and this is advanced warfare. This isn't like the 80s and 90s where, you know, or when we were in Afghanistan or whatnot. We're talking about the whole of the Middle East. In 1948, when this happened, it's not like you can't compare that time to today's time with the weapons that we have, weapons that other countries have. You have China, you have Russia.
Yeah. So I think at this point, yeah, we've already reached a kind of boiling point with that, where like if you were voting for Trump, you don't care that he's actively trying to strip away human rights. So like I can't actually respect you as a person, right? I can still engage with you and have a meaningful conversation about these things, but I don't think you're taking America and the concept of it seriously. And as the thing says, I don't think you're a patriot, right? I just don't think you've done enough research to be able to make an informed decision, and that's part of being a patriot. But also, you know, Trump supporters think the same somehow about Kamala. Like, I don't even understand, but they think she's a communist. They think she's going to take away rights when she literally hasn't said anything about doing any of the things they're even talking about. They're just being fed misinformation, and so they also think the same thing. If you're voting for Kamala, you're not worth my time. So we're already there in that respect, for sure. Hopefully, once we move past Trump after this election, the division ceases to be a thing, and it goes back to being like slightly divided like it used to be.
All right, and then I hear you. Last question is, I don't want to bother you. At the same time, I know there's a lot of people on your panel probably trying to join up. Or
yeah, there's a few in the box.
Right. Last thing, in reference to, I don't even know if I could say it, GUNs. Mm-hmm. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say guns.
Okay, so you think the American people should have guns?
I think that we have an express right delegated to us that allows us to, and I don't think anybody's trying to take that right away.
Yeah, okay, I stand with that as well. Because I have a couple businesses myself, so like, you know, it's important that I keep something on me. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
you answered it. Pretty simple.
Well, Palestine, it's been a good talk, to be honest. Like, really good conversation, actually. Good to have you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm pretty ignorant on all this. So, like, you did help a lot. But, you know, if I get more information and study more, I'll be back on your panel soon.
Hell yeah. Definitely look into some stuff. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, buddy.
That was a good conversation. Good conversation. Totally possible to have. Check my bio if you're thinking about supporting me. All the info is there. Would greatly appreciate it. We just had to get an amputation surgery for my dog, so that was very expensive. We got a credit line to cover it at 33% interest, so we got to pay that off in 6 months or pay a lot of extra money. That's better. We are moving on. David or Trump 2025? Trump 2025 sounds more fun. I'll get to you next, David. Trump, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I was really hoping for the voice.
Oh, no, sorry.
How old are you?
I just had a few questions, and I saw what you were talking about with the other guy. I wanted to just ask a few questions about that as well.
Mm-hmm. How old are you?
Oh, sorry. I'm 27.
And pronouns?
No, I don't.
He, him, I assume?
Sure.
All right. So, obviously voting for Trump. Why?
Well, a few of the things, I just want to understand your opinion on what rights you believe Trump is taking away, and if you see any rights on the other side to be potentially taken away.
What rights do I think Trump is taking away, and what rights do I think Kamala might take away? Is that the question?
I don't know what you believe about Kamala, but
Kamala.
Yes.
Yeah, so Trump already removed the federal protection for abortion, the only one that we had. So that's causing deaths.
I mean, okay, so what do you believe specifically about abortion? Do you believe it is a life, or what's like the main points?
I believe that I shouldn't get a fucking say in what a woman does with her own body, and I think that you should think the same thing.
Okay, but do you see that to be like a fallacy or like a problem, let's say?
I don't understand the question.
Why can't a man have an opinion about a woman's
because
body,
it's not your
particularly when
body.
he's part of that baby?
Because it's not your body.
Well, sure, I understand, but the sperm's going in there, so the baby is going to be part.
Oh,
you
yeah,
and
no,
part.
the father of the child can discuss with his partner, who is going to have the child, whether or not, basically what options they have. But ultimately, no matter what, the choice is the woman's.
No, I can understand that, but
But it should, under no circumstances, be legislated.
so like, you don't think the state should decide on whether it's illegal or not?
No, I think the individual should decide.
No. I'm saying like within a state, do you think that they should have a say on is it legal in the state or not? Or
Yeah, I think
do you
the individual should always have the choice. So it should not be legislated at all at any level.
Okay. I mean, I can understand abortion. Like, you have a highway speed limit at 65 miles per hour. It's the number one cause of death. We could make it lower and we could avoid tons of deaths, right? I think that would be the obvious right decision to make, but we favor convenience over right, saving lives. Can you understand that?
How does convenience play into the topic of abortion? Because, like I said, abortion restriction doesn't stop abortions. It just increases deaths.
Well, you can't stop abortions because people are going to have them illegally. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make it right, in my opinion.
Right, but it doesn't matter if it's right or not. They're going to have it, right? So it's either they get a safe one or they die.
It's like the speed limit on the highway. Like, I understand it's a stretch in comparison, but you're talking about the number one cause of death, right? And people are on the highway driving 65 miles per hour. We could avoid it.
Isn't the number one cause of death still heart disease?
To be honest, I'm not sure, but I'm sure accidents are up there, maybe top 3. I don't know. It's irrelevant, and the point I'm trying to make.
I would have to look that up. Yeah, but I get what you're
it's
saying,
not
but I
relevant.
don't think it's an analogy that you can apply at all. Because in one case, you're talking about bodily autonomy, somebody choosing to make a decision for their own body about what they're going to do with their own body. And in the other decision, you're talking about the government limiting your right to drive your vehicle to increase safety.
I'm not saying limiting the right. I'm saying reducing the speed in terms of the vehicle. But the reason I say the abortion to be different is because you're making the choice of sex. I get it. We live in a messed up world. Sex feels good. People are going to do it. That's not what I'm saying. But in the end, sex is a choice. Therefore, you can't really say, well, I mean, you have to recognize that sex is a choice. Yeah, it's a messed up decision. It's a messed up world we live in, but that's the reality. Sex is a choice. It always has been, always will be.
But pregnancy isn't.
Condoms are allowed to be used. Once again, it's not easy.
Once again,
but
not 100% effective.
I understand that. And that there's, you can not have sex. Once again, it's not appealing in the world we live in. Sex feels good, so I get it.
Also, what about SA? Great.
Well, I think that obviously abortion should be legal in those cases. I think Trump makes the case that it should be.
It's not in Florida. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it should be legal. I mean, what do you mean?
Yeah, but according to Trump, it should just be up to the state. So according to you, supporting Trump, it should also be up to the state,
I don't
right?
think that's the case. I think he's saying that it's up to the state to decide whether it's legal outside of rape, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, SA or whatever.
No, he's not. He's saying it's up to the state altogether. That's why we have laws now that don't protect against anything.
I don't think that's true, but...
That is true. I live in Florida. We have no protections. It's just a 6-week ban.
Okay, well, I think that should change, but it's not really outside of the point of whether or not the previous point I was talking about.
In Texas, they had a trigger law that would basically not allow for any protections, and they won't put the issue on the ballot. So it's not up for a vote, and it might never be. Do you agree with that?
I mean, no, but
so you see where I'm going with this. Like the repeal of Roe v. Wade is increasing harm. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, I guess another part of that is if you have a president that says we're going to ban abortion completely, and you have another president that says we're going to make it legal no matter what, no matter what. Obviously, neither are going to win. So,
well, what? Nobody's saying we're going to make it legal no matter what, no matter what.
I'm saying if they did, they wouldn't win.
Well, somebody has to win, so one of them would win. Right?
Sure, but no one's going to. Someone's going to find middle ground and guarantee a win. No one's going to go so far-fetched one way or the other.
That just sounds like a useless hypothetical. I don't see the. I don't.
I mean, it's not
understand.
hypothetical. It's if you have a president who says, "Hey, I'm going to ban abortion completely, no matter what," he's not going to win. And if you have the opposite to be true, they're not going to win.
Yeah. So instead, Trump says, "I'm going to leave it up to the states so that they can ban abortion," right? And then I don't have to take the fall for it.
What's the alternative? What's the alternative to not leaving up to the states?
Leaving Roe v. Wade in place as a federal protection.
Okay.
We already had it.
Okay. Well. All right. Well, I'll change the. We can change the topic if you want. I just had a few more questions, if you allow me to.
Yeah, sure.
So, I don't know. What do you think about censorship versus freedom of speech, and how do you specifically understand that? Like in terms of all this talk of like, let's ban Twitter in Brazil. Let's.
Well, that's up to Brazil. Like that's fine. They don't have freedom of speech.
I understand, but looking at them and seeing, could that happen in the USA? And what do you think about that?
No, I don't think that could really happen in the USA, and I don't think anybody's pushing for it.
And why do you? I mean, so what about like Kamala kind of talking about we can't have like a different rule with Facebook and then say there's another one with Twitter. It seems apparent to hearing Tim Walz talk that they are against these ideas of platforms like Twitter having people give their opinions on what they believe to be misinformation, and then the government kind of making up a word, malinformation, which is like information that's inconvenient to the government, but it's true.
No, malinformation is, one, not a made-up word. It's just using actual word parts. Malinformation is information that is specifically harmful, actually incites harm.
But like, who determines what incites harm? Because the government might see something that incites harm to them, but the reality is for the people, it's actually benefiting them because it's information that they need to hear. It's information that they have a right to hear.
Do you have any examples?
I mean, sure, you could think about something like, let's just make up one. Let's say there's a disease like COVID, and let's say someone gives information, the government made a mistake, the government made a mistake that could harm millions of people. That's harmful information to them, but it's information that the people need to hear. They're uncertain if it's true, but it could be true, and therefore hiding that information and silencing it could greatly harm the American people.
But you don't have any real-world examples of this happening.
I'm sure there's some out there. I'm not the best person to ask that question to, but it's the concept of that has the ability to happen. And that's why I think censorship of speech is such a bad thing for our society. And it's being shown with Twitter.
So the only thing that Kamala and Walz have been advocating for, as far as I know, is just the same thing that we've ever done, is just fact-checking false info.
But like, that's the problem. Who's fact-checking that? That's the government doing it, and they're not doing a good job.
No, it's the press. It's always been the press.
But the press is also very biased against Trump. I mean, even if you disagree with Trump,
the press is not biased against Trump. Trump is just bad, and they're reporting on it.
They're very coordinated. If you look at any mainstream news channel, they're very coordinated.
I have to say this one more time
about Trump.
I have to say this one more time. The press is not biased against Trump. Trump is just very bad, and they're reporting on the things he's done.
Okay, but it doesn't disregard the fact that they're so like uniform and synchronized in the things they say, the words they use about whether it's for Kamala or against Trump. You can say, okay, well, Trump's bad, therefore that's why it's being said, but there's synchronized information being said about Kamala as well. Personally, I feel it to be blatantly obvious that they are just like to trust them in determining what misinformation is, to trust them in determining what is hateful speech, what is...
Have you seen, like, did you view any of the fact checking that happened during COVID?
I mean, I viewed the fact checking that happened during the presidential debate, and I thought it was very biased. I thought...
Okay,
maybe some
in general
was true.
It wasn't, and in general it was factual. But during COVID, what happened
that
was
part of the problem.
What?
They didn't fact check Kamala hardly at all, and they should have in many instances. Sorry, what?
Kamala.
Oh, my bad. Kamala.
So yeah, what instances should they have fact checked?
I wish I could like pull up a list more so to give you specifics.
Hey,
but,
Ample Juice, can you just stop spamming a little bit? Can you just do a little bit less of that?
I mean, you can even look at the Biden and Trump presidential debate and see how Biden's claiming Trump killed millions as if because Trump's presidential
his response to COVID was
happened
horrendous.
during COVID.
His response to COVID was absolutely horrendous, and he was constantly lying to the people, telling us it's not that big of a deal. When in the background, he was telling professionals and other higher ups in the government that this is a serious threat that we actually actively need to deal with, which is why he pushed for Operation Warp Speed, which created the vaccine faster than we've ever created a vaccine before, with new technology. Right? It's his vaccine.
But do you think it's just like outrageous that Trump might not have seen this to be as big of a threat?
No,
like,
he did. What I think is outrageous is that he lied about that.
But how do you know he's specifically lying? How do you know he didn't just simply think that it wasn't a big deal?
We have recordings of phone calls at the time where he acknowledged that it had 10 times the mortality rate of your most stringent influenza, which at that time was accurate. He said it's a big deal and we have to take care of it quick.
But do you think the information about all these vaccines was accurate and truthful? And
it's his vaccine, so hopefully. If he was in charge of the vaccine being created.
If that's the case, then it seems like the Biden administration took a whole lot of credit for that then.
They didn't. They never did. Everybody knows it's
Trump's
vaccine.
They talked about it a lot and pushed it a lot.
Well, yeah, they pushed it because it was proven to be effective.
But it seems pretty obvious that they wouldn't mention Trump created it, how much they were pushing it.
I know that. Like,
they didn't want to give him
it's
credit.
a thing
Most
that's
people don't know
known.
that.
Everybody knows that Trump made the vaccine. This is not news.
Okay, well, do you have time for me to ask one more question? Do you got a lot of people waiting?
Yeah, you can do one more.
Okay, so what is your understanding of the border and the Biden administration eliminating DNA testing at it?
Why do you need DNA testing at the border?
Well, because it prevents people from taking children that aren't theirs in and selling them into trafficking.
Okay, so if somebody has an adopted child, then they'll be separated due to DNA testing?
Well, I would assume there has to be some middle ground.
You would assume that?
I think there's got to be a way. Would you?
Do you think maybe that kind of thing is the reason that DNA testing would have been stopped? Do you think that that's possible?
All I'm saying is I'm sure there's a way to to find middle ground there and to recognize that they are adopted and therefore to get them across the border. However, when you're looking at trafficking, that's such a bigger issue.
Okay. And until you do find that middle ground, do you think that you should keep separating families or stop separating families?
Well, but by making it apparent to the world that we don't do DNA testing anymore, that's going to greatly increase child sex trafficking. So I think until we find a middle ground, we should keep DNA testing. Until that's the key point. Until we can prevent and guarantee.
So yeah, until we find a middle ground, we keep allowing families to be separated. Good take. Wild. All right. And then user in the comments says, "Hell yeah, separate them." Bud, yeah, you're all for the sanctity of family, aren't you? Off brand, how are you doing? Off brand, you there?
Sorry. I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. How old are you?
28.
Pronouns?
He, him.
And vote?
Harris.
Based as hell. You have about a minute to tell us why.
Yes. I do not like the direction our Supreme Court has taken, and Trump directly put those judges in. They used to say, oh, they're not going to strike down Roe v. Wade, and that's exactly what they did. They're also going to come for Connecticut v. Griswold. And I actually came up to talk a little bit to your previous guest, because if he likes to do anything within the privacy of his own home, then he should not be voting for Trump, because those privacy protections are through Connecticut v. Griswold, which will be stricken down.
Yep.
So if he likes to watch porn, if he likes to do other things with other people like I like to do, those are protections that will be stricken.
Yeah, for sure. For instance, just to jump on that a little bit, for instance, Texas already has a law where you have to, they require actual identity verification to access corn sites. So like Cornhub, they have completely removed the availability of their site in Texas because it's just easier to do than actually like collecting a photo of your actual state ID.
Yeah, which is like, I really can't fathom why anybody is still voting for this man, and I hope that in a couple days we just rid him of our political cycle. But it's gotten to a point where we will be doing this every 4 years, not with just Trump, but like with any person they put up now. It's just going to be just as bad. And the sad fact is once he's gone, once he's out of our political diaspora, we're just going to be dealing with somebody with the same beliefs, same basic goals, who's far more competent than Trump is.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, the Republican motto is like, what's the epitome of evil we can get up there?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, have a great one. Thank you for coming up.
You too.
And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We will vote Kamala in, and at least Trump will be gone. At least Trump will be gone forever. He's never going to run again. He doesn't have time to run again. You're going to have 80 million people that will never accept tears. Interesting. All right. Nobody ever says why Kamala would be better. I actually did say a bunch of things at the beginning of this live just to generate interest before we got to what's close to my general usual viewer count, actually. Thank you all. While you're in here, tap the live, tap the screen as much as you can. We want to get this shown to more people, get it out there. And we are moving on. I know David's been in here a long time. Actually, when I brought the last guest up, somebody was complaining that they came into the box first, but they didn't. Like, how would you even know that you came into the box first? David, no, you've been waiting so patiently. You got to connect. You got to connect, bud. Come on. All right, David's out of here. Try again, bud. All right. Helena? Is that right?
Yeah. My name is actually Frank. Alina's my daughter's name. I just put that on my
Gotcha.
profile.
Frank, how are you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Age?
I'm 50.
Pronouns?
He, him.
Nice. And vote?
Well, I'd like to reserve my vote after I say a few things, if you don't mind. Donald Trump, absolutely not. I would never vote for a 34-count felon, twice impeached, disgraced, liable of SA. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's even being considered, it's ridiculous.
It's laughable,
Especially
right?
after his first term. I am driving, by the way, so I hope I don't disconnect and stuff. So,
yeah,
and if there's too much noise, then feel free to mute me.
Yeah, Frank, just we can't have somebody driving. I'll gladly take you back up later,
Okay.
but I can't have you.
All right, sure, no problem.
I'll talk to you later, though,
I'll
bud.
be free
Come
in a
back
couple
up.
hours. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah, can't take somebody driving. TOS is like vague on whether or not it's okay. So just, I know you probably got the hands-free thing, but just for actual terms of service, don't even want to deal with the possibility. I'm also having like headset issues, so I'm going to need to get a new headset soon. But for now, like, I might have to have people repeat a couple things. Gabe, I assume?
Yeah, yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I just was curious. I've been scrolling on my For You page, and I saw it, and I just wondered what your point of view is. I'm always open to learn, and I just want to open by saying I believe my philosophy, or I don't believe, my philosophy is just that extremism on both ends. I'm from Texas, bro. Like, I've seen the extreme right, trust me, and I do not resonate with them at all, right? But I also don't resonate with the extreme left, right? Can we agree with that?
That's fair. It's fair. Extremism is something that we probably should not strive for in this country.
Do you think that maybe do you think that maybe like the two-party system breeds extremism?
It generally breeds division for sure, but I don't think it's ever been as bad as it is now, and I think that Trump is actually the root cause of that greater divide.
You know, all right, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I hope you don't judge me, and I won't judge you. I voted for Trump, and but I agree with you. Like, I'll tell you this, like, saying the debate when he said, they're eating the dogs, right? Yeah. Like, if you watch some of the city council meetings, like, it was actually an African American male. He was speaking about seeing, geese taken up from the park or something like that, right? So, I don't know if it's misinformation. I'm not from the town, and who's to really say? We do live in the age of misinformation. It's hard to know what's true anymore, and I feel like people on both sides are having trouble even knowing what to believe anymore.
Yeah,
would you agree with that?
Like, in that case, the only people that we can really trust on the matter is the actual town, and all of the officials that anybody has asked has said it's outright false.
Yeah, well, I would say, I just want to bring this up. I feel like anybody who would be in power, say, within that town, it would be within their best interest to negate that quote-unquote rumor. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Like, it would be in their best interest to say it's false.
If that's a take you would have at the town level, I don't know how productive a conversation about federal government could be with somebody who would provide an answer like that. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, everybody technically could have a vested interest in protecting their own ass, is what I guess what you're getting at, right?
Well, I know for a fact, man, the government would want to protect their own ass. And I will say that's one thing that I disagree with as far as Kamala and Tim Walz. They're saying that misinformation, they want to stop the flow of misinformation, which I agree with. But at the same time, if they're the I'm sorry. I'm trying to use big vocabulary. I guess I'm a dumbass.
Arbiter was right. You were
yeah,
right.
if they want to be the arbiters of what is true and what is false, I mean, same with Trump. You know, if he wants to say I'm the arbiter of what's true and false, of course they're going to protect their own asses. But it just so happens that you know, Kamala and Walz are they specifically speak about, you know, limiting quote unquote misinformation, which in my opinion would just be anything that is against, you know, their interests and their quote unquote agenda. I'm not saying they have some evil agenda, but against their agenda. Same with Trump.
So yeah, generally what they're advocating for is kind of exactly what we did during COVID. And I kind of brought this up a little bit, but fact checking stuff that could outright cause actual harm to people. Right. So if you're spreading misinformation about whether or not the vaccine has been proven to work, they'll just provide another article that shows the actual statistics on that.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that, like, when you say Trump supporters are not patriots, are you saying that a Trump supporter can't be a patriot? Or are you just saying, like, you know, they're always like, oh, we're the party of patriotism? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm a patriot, man. I love America. I love America.
That's fair. So my general definition for patriot is somebody who supports not only all of the citizens of the USA, but also the Constitution upon which the nation was founded. And Trump doesn't.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I want you to expand on that. Like, what parts of that do you think Trump is against?
Yeah, so we have him quoted as saying he wants to send people to jail for a year for burning the American flag, which is roundly protected as symbolic free speech by the Supreme Court in multiple cases. I
disagree with that, with his point on that. You know, I do think it's disgraceful, though, to burn the American flag.
That's fair, but it is protected by the Constitution.
Agreed. 100% agree with you.
We have him quoted as saying that in the case of crazy people, you should take the guns and then go through due process, which is a blatant violation of your Second Amendment rights, because who judges whether or not you're the crazy person?
I 100% agree with that as well.
We have Trump quoted as saying he wants Chicago to reinstate stop and frisk, which is also roundly against the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizure,
and probably disproportionately affects, you know, a group in Chicago. And you know, I agree with that. So I guess what I'm just trying to understand is, like, let me ask you this, man. Like, what I go back to, and maybe this is a Republican talking point, and I'm not a Republican, by the way. In fact, when I was voting, and I was just voting, like, I was only really knowledgeable about the presidents, right? And then I was looking at all these other positions, and there's two options. It's Republican and Democrat. And I felt like such a hypocrite, man, because I'm a centrist / moderate, right? And when I was voting Republican down the ticket, I was like, man, I'm the problem. Like, I'm doing what I dislike. And I know that Democrats are doing the same thing, you know, voting Democrat down the bill, which is fine. Like, I believe in free speech and free exchange of ideas. And I think that's what's so wrong with politics, is that people don't have a free change of ideas. People want to hurt the other side on both sides. Like, they don't dislike each other.
Yeah, so for example, on a personal level, on this ticket, we have, for our choice of senator, we have either Rick Scott, who is, to a lot of Americans, he embodies the evil of the current regime here in Florida. I don't necessarily think he's as bad as a lot of people say, but I also don't like him. I just don't like his policies. But on the other hand, our Democratic choice for senator is very, very in favor of supporting Israel with actual Florida money, and I'm very, very against that. So that's like the only choice where I'm thinking of supporting one of our unaffiliated candidates. But I think that's, like, especially down ticket, being willing to support unaffiliated candidates for positions where they might actually have a chance of winning is a legitimate choice, and I would encourage everybody in the chat that hasn't voted to legitimately consider those candidates as well and look into them.
What do you think? I don't know if this is just a talking point, but what do you think about the fact that when Trump was in office, I mean, generally speaking, I know that obviously throughout the passage of time, Kamala loves that passage of time. Inflation is going to go up. Like, and no matter 5-10 years, inflation will always.
What makes
be
you think
going
that?
up. Dude, I mean, if you look at, I remember when I was young, man, you went to a restaurant in the early 2000s and the expensive thing on the menu, I remember seeing like $18.99. I was like, oh my God, that was like the big baller meal at the time.
Yeah, now it's probably like $35.99, right?
Yeah, now it is.
So when you say inflation is going to go up, I think you might not understand the term inflation, right? I think what you mean to say is that prices will continue to rise.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So inflation has been going down since the spike that can be attributed to reopening the economy after COVID. It has been going down month over month, year over year. We are currently sitting around 2.4% last I checked, which was actually about a month ago. I should probably check again because it's been going down about 0.1%. Every month or two.
Yeah.
But
thank you for laying that on me. I mean, you're a smart dude, man, and then we need civil political discourse, man. And the too many people want to hurt the other side. People are so extreme, bro.
Yeah.
And somebody said centrists/moderates are the problem. What does that even mean? Because when you view things through a pure Republican, I'm a Republican. Like, when you view everything through that lens, you are blinded. And when you view everything through I am a liberal, like, you are blinded. I'm sorry. Eat both sides. And that sounds like such a cliche thing. Both sides have negatives, obviously. Like, but people need to come to the middle. Like, I am pro-choice and pro-life. How about that?
That's just pro-choice, though. Because pro-choice doesn't mean you have to get an abortion, right? Pro-life means you can't. Yeah,
well, you know what? I feel that, and that's the problem I have. It's like you've got some people that are like, kill the parasite. I know you know what I'm talking about. And then the other one is like, it's a baby the moment of conception, right? Like, it is a baby the moment of conception. You're gonna carry that. It's God's will. Like, I disagree with both sides, dude. I really, really do it. And I can't help but feel like it's their main. I was watching the Houston rally, and it seems like it's all they talked about was the A word, man. And it's like,
yeah, I mean, it's a hot button issue on this one for sure. Mainly because Trump already, like, indirectly, to be fair, but it's because of Trump that Roe v. Wade was repealed, right? So that is just a blatant limitation of bodily autonomy rights.
Yeah, turned over to the states, man. I don't think that there should be a federal ban or federal allowance. It should be up to the states, in my opinion.
So the federal protection left it up to the individual. Is that not better than leaving it up to the governing body for the states?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I like individual rights and a smaller, more controlled government.
Hell yeah,
less. So I feel like we have a lot of common ground, and that's what I hate about the polarization of politics, dude. Like, even the vaccine, that's such a political issue. Like, I view it through an objective lens. I have all my vaccines except for the COVID vaccine, and the reason I strayed away from it was because it was rushed. It was put on emergency, like, we're gonna get this out, right? And it's mRNA technology, Nobel Peace Prize winning technology, but it's new. They didn't give you a piece of COVID like they do with the flu shot. They give you something that tells your genes how to react to it.
Yeah.
Not your genes, but I'm not saying it's bad, but it's new.
Terms, yeah.
It's new. You know what I'm saying? It's new. Say what you want. I'm not against it, but I mean, people were like saying, "Oh my God, you're going to need this card to get into any restaurant." We saw how long that lasted. Right? So. I'm just saying, man, like, I feel like the media plays a huge role in it. And I'm not saying this from a right-wing point of view. I'm just saying media on both sides has just polarized people and gotten people so extreme to the point where it's never been, you're right, it's never been as bad as it is now. Even in 2020, it felt bad in 2020, but bro, it's so much worse. It feels worse now.
For sure. Let me ask you just one question about Trump's actual Agenda 47 platform. How do you feel about him saying he wants to fire all woke left-wing Democratic military members as soon as possible?
I guess I'm not too familiar with that situation. Would you expand a little bit?
No, I can't, because that's all it says. And so on the last page of his 16-page PDF that lists all of his platform points, the second point on that last page is modernize the military, and the last sentence of that is get all woke left-wing Democratic military members fired as soon as possible, which to me says craft a military that will do nothing but support my decisions.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. If I were to be drafted, I would rather be drafted under the president that had a concrete plan for a slow and steady withdrawal from Afghanistan, and somebody who started no new wars under their administration. Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, two of the biggest warmongers, back Kamala. Like, what's up with that?
Dick Cheney's just smart enough to not support Trump. So the withdrawal from Afghanistan was originally Trump's plan. Like, we were following Trump's plan, except we extended it. Biden negotiated an extension, so we had more time. It was Trump's plan to pull out so fast.
I mean, it seemed to me like it was based on my research. Could be wrong. His plan was contingent. Their slow withdrawal was contingent on the fact that the Taliban didn't hurt us, or any sort of terrorist group didn't hurt a single American, like touch a hair on an American's head. Is that right or wrong?
No, as far as I know, that's wrong. His plan was just to pull out immediately. Huh. But he just didn't do it during his term. But that was the plan that he crafted, and then Biden negotiated an extension, so we had a little bit more time to think about what we were actually doing. But also, Trump freed 5,000 Taliban prisoners, and they went to retake control.
Huh. It's just interesting to hear that. People are saying, I see someone saying Trump is to blame for the soldiers being left behind. I mean, I guess maybe I need to do more research, and it was his plan, but I mean, who was commander in chief when it happened? It just seems like a common thing for them to say, oh, well, the economy was good under Trump because it was Obama's, and then, oh, well, Biden did something bad, but it was Trump's fault. Like,
yeah, I generally try to stay away from talking about Trump's economy because, like, legitimately the economy was on the right trends when he was handed it, but that doesn't mean he didn't have a good effect on it. Like, the TCJA was legitimately a decent tax policy. What's scummy about it is that at the end of this year, your tax benefits will end, but the tax benefits for the top 1% will keep going. So by the end of the actual TCJA, the top 1% will have received 83% of the tax benefits. So that's a little weird.
Do you think it's ironic when a big part of the left is like tax the rich? I'm not maybe not eat the rich is a core part, but like, a lot of people that align with that is like eat the rich, blah blah blah. Yet all the richest people and celebrities, I mean, excluding Elon Musk, sorry, but like some of the richest people and the richest counties, they all swing one way, and it's not right. It's not the side that you would think is giving these big breaks to.
Oh yeah, so no, the entire argument there is that there is no ethical way to become a billionaire. You can't become a billionaire.
There's definitely
ethically.
not. You have to exploit somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, but exploiting could just be paying a wage that somebody is willing to work for, even if it's not a good wage,
Right. So if you look into every single billionaire, they all have, portions of their corporations that are working in offshore sites where they can pay people pennies on the dollar. Like, it's not necessarily that those aren't living wages in those areas. They probably aren't, but it's not even necessarily that. It's just they could afford to pay everybody that works under them probably 10 times as much and still be brutally rich.
Susan said I was deployed under Trump. I'd be curious. I wonder, like, I'm not saying she's lying. I want to know where she was deployed. That's very interesting because I imagine there were deployments, but it did seem like there was a lot more peace across the world. Like the Abraham Accords, the Middle East was silent. It was so much more silent.
There was the Turkish-Kurdish war.
Okay. I actually, you know what? People are gonna blame me in the comments. I'm not familiar with that. I would love to learn about that.
I honestly don't know too much about it. I do know that it happened. I couldn't tell you what caused it, what actually happened during it, but it was a war that did happen.
Hey, Peacekeeper, would you tell me where you were deployed in the comments? I'm interested in the name of facts, not to further my own agenda, just in the spirit of education. If you could tell me. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments.
No, you're good. Generally, I encourage to not read the comments. But I've also had you up for quite a while, and this is a great test run. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. If you haven't followed, just follow real quick. Doesn't hurt anybody. It's good for you. It's good for me. Even if you disagree with me, you can come up and talk to me about it. If you aren't liking the live, you have a little bit more time to do it. Get me up to like 20K, please. It should be very easy for 150 people. And I think, Gabe, I will let you be my last guest for this open trial run. This is my backup account. Actually, I got report bombed on my first one for... unbelievably, I got report bombed for what is it called? Sexual exploitation and gender-based violence.
Jeez,
so
what's wrong with you, man?
Wild,
No,
wild. So this is my backup account. I just got live access today. This is my first live. I still managed to pull like 200 concurrent viewers, so I'm super pleased. Thank you all so much. And Gabe, thank you for coming up and talking.
Yeah, of course, brother. Hey, best of luck to you, man. At the end of the day, everybody voting on either side just wants a better country and a better place for their children. So we all need to, or their future children. We all just need to understand that that's our goal at the end of the day, and no one is the enemy for voting how they feel. You know, like
hell yeah. I always just encourage to do more research. Just look into each candidate and see legitimately who you think is better.
And I want to say one more thing. My Latina friend who works in Congress, Latina, has said that the border crisis is worse than we even realize. And she's Latina, and she works in Congress. I just want to put that out there. I know that sounds silly. She's Latina, but it's not a bunch of white racists that have a problem with open border. I just want to say that. And I know it's not open. That's like a buzzword. It's not an open border.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but at this point, a lot of people on both sides are acknowledging that it's too many people coming in, for sure.
Yeah, and I think Kamala had a chance to win over some voters by saying, hey, like, what do you think we could have done better? Like, is there anything that you dislike? And she's like, I can't think of anything. And I'm sure we can quote Trump on some horrible quotes, too, so I'm not nitpicking things. But I'm just saying, like, bro, like, take some responsibility, accept some fault, and... in my opinion, I would have been much more open to voting for her. But I mean, dude, the general price of commodities, the Ukrainian-Russian war, that she actually went to the conference and she basically was just like, no, don't. You know, like, I don't see how we expect her to be a strong, powerful leader. I'm sorry, and that's just how I feel. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's basing it off of feelings and not facts. But I mean, proof's in the pudding, bro. Like, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Right.
Look
you
into
too,
it more.
Let's go, baby. Hey, good luck, bro.
You too. Take it easy. And the rest of you, follow the Discord. I think I put the link. I'm going to check, but I think I put the invite link on my new account as well, this one. So follow, hit the link for the Discord, join the Discord group. And I'll see you later. I'll probably be back on later today as well for a couple more hours, but I think we smashed a couple of the intro live goals, so I might have a sub gift for this account already. So I'll see you all later. Have a great one, and until next time, stay golden, okay? Just stay golden.